And I can't even imagine what this is like for his parents as well. It's got to be crushing. This is the first time they're seeing their son since this happened on Friday.
For hearing, I did grant the request for expanded media coverage. I've not been a request for expanded media coverage at this time.
All right, so we're still having some audio issues. So you have to pardon me because I might be jumping out to hear what the judge is saying and then jumping back in. If you guys want to leave my microphone open, that's fine.
Bizarre hairdo, which allegedly is his trying to be the Joker from the Batman movie. What I'm noticing about him that's very different from a normal defendant, if you can say a normal defendant in a murder case, is he's totally unemotional. He's flat. But people usually look very nervous. But let's go back to the sound here, I guess.
Okay.
We do have the motion for access to the crime position on that. Is that occurring?
Anticipating later this week at some point. They are not finished yet with some of the things that have to be done.
Are you in a position to give them reasonable access with 24 hours notice?
Yes.
All right. Court will issue an order concerning that. Anything further on that issue, Mr.?
One being the apartment building and we allowed access to both.
Did I misread your motion? Because I think your motion only addressed the movie theater.
I apologize if that was the case, Judge. We filed that on the fly on Friday. So we are asking, and I will amend the plea.
Your Honor, I assume that they also wanted the apartment held, and we will also make that available to the point that it is safe to go.
Thank you. For the people,
Your Honor, we filed this morning a motion records.
All right, I want to bring our legal analyst, Paul Callan, back in. Paul, what we're going to do is you and I are going to talk about what's going on right now, and we're going to talk about what you're noticing here with James Holmes, the suspect. And we've got someone in the control room monitoring to see if this audio gets any better and if we can understand what's taking place. But we can't even hear what's being said at this point. So, first of all, you were saying, all right, does it seem like a solid connection to the audio? No. Okay, let's hold off, guys, till we know we got it going for a while. So if someone can monitor that. Paul, let's explain to our viewers what is happening right now as we are seeing the suspect, James Holmes, for the very first time.
Well, most Americans know that when you're arrested, you have to be produced in court before a judge. You can't be held indefinitely in the United States. It's illegal in every state under the U.S. Constitution. This is a Colorado proceeding where he's appearing in front of a judge. They haven't decided on all of the formal charges against him, but the judge is taking a preliminary look at the investigation, and he's made a decision that there's grounds to continue to hold him with no bail, at least until what I'm hearing is Monday, when prosecutors will probably come back with a more complete set of charges to advise the court about. And what I was saying to you before, Kira, about arraignments, and I've been in court with a lot of individuals charged with murder, both as a prosecutor and a defense attorney, and I got to say, looking at him, very, very strange, and I'm not just talking about the red hair. He's very flat in his presentation. He's totally unemotional. This is unusual. Of course, when somebody's charged with a very serious crime, they're engaged and they look very nervous. You see them consulting with counsel. He is simply looking straight ahead and looking down. There doesn't seem to be any effort.
He's out of it. He looks.
Yes.
I don't know. Is he falling asleep? They wouldn't have him on any type of medication, right? I mean, what we're seeing is who he is without, or is it possible that there could be medication involved? I should just put that to you.
Well, he's conferring with his attorney now. It is possible. There are two situations, I suppose, where he could be medicated. One is if he was medicated previously, taking some kind of psychotic medication. They may have continued that and permitted that. But usually at an arraignment, no drugs have occurred first. So I think you're looking at a very tired individual combined with whatever his normal personality may be. I doubt that it's drug-induced at this point.
Okay, but you do, and we're going to try and re-rack the video that we were just able to roll on, and we apologize to our viewers for we weren't able to listen to all the audio, so we'll try and piece this all together. But I think right now, Paul, what has been, you you couldn't take your eyes off of him, because you were saying it's not only the hair, but just the way he was acting and behaving. And let me ask you about that. And I can't even imagine what this is like for his parents as well. It's got to be crushing. This is the first time they're seeing their son since this happened on Friday. But looking at a situation like this and trying to piece together all the facts, kind of put all this in the mindset of an attorney. What are you thinking here? I mean, this is there's a lot of questions too, and you brought this up just a moment ago. Is it possible that he was on some type of psychotic medication and wasn't keeping up with that? I know there's a lot of questions about what was his medical history, his background, what was he dealing with. He went from star, brilliant student who was lecturing on neuroscience to dropping out of school, kind of disappearing from friends and family, becoming a loner. And now, since this has happened, we're hearing about a lot of disturbing details about what had been taking place in the past couple of months. What is this looking like to you as you are learning about all the details and now seeing him for the first time and putting this all together?
Well, the first thing that's happening today is, of course, he's had an attorney appointed, the public defender, apparently, from what I heard. And then the second thing you heard, the judge said there's a protective order. He can't contact anybody or reach out to anybody. Normally, that would be sort of in a domestic violence or an ordinary violence case. If the defendant got out, that you wouldn't want him contacting witnesses and his victims. Of course, that's not going to apply here, because he will remain incarcerated, I can assure you, throughout the entire criminal proceedings, regardless of what you hear in this courtroom. Now, what's a defense attorney looking at? The first thing they're looking at, of course, is the possibility of an insanity defense. But before an insanity defense, the first thing a criminal defense attorney has to assess is, can the client actually stand trial? Is he competent to stand trial? And the attorney will be talking to him, trying to decide two things. One, does he understand the charges against him? And two, can he provide any kind of meaningful assistance in his defense? If the answer to both of those questions is yes, he understands the proceedings and can assist, then he can proceed to the next step, which is preliminary hearings, trial, maybe an insanity defense. But in a lot of these cases where there's severe mental illness, which, by the way, sometimes does manifest itself later in life, there are forms, for instance, and I don't know if it applies here, but of schizophrenia that manifest themselves in the mid-20s.
Yeah.
So it would not be unusual for that to happen with respect to a particular suspect. In that case, if he's incompetent to stand trial, he's sent off to a mental hospital, and in fact, it could be years before this case is resolved. But of course, we don't know the answer to that question, because we haven't seen what he said to the police, and certainly we don't have the benefit of any medical analysis at this point. But I can assure you that's what the defense attorney is looking at first and foremost. What is his client's mental condition, and how to protect his client while he remains incarcerated in Colorado.
All right, Paul Callan, stay with us. You are seeing right now live pictures that just happened moments ago. The first time we've been able to see 24-year-old James Holmes, the man being charged in that shooting spree at the movie theater in Aurora.
Probably the most important thing is that exactly 1 week from today, 9:30 next Monday morning, is when they'll actually charge him and arraign him. They went through a number of the usual kind of things that they do about this, that it's a no bond hold, and ordered them not to have any communications with witnesses or victims in this case. So he'll be held in jail, so he would have to probably do that through proxy. But they wanted to be sure that there was there would be no harassment or anything of witnesses. Boy, I tell you, if you were looking for, from my point of view, if you were looking for clues into what was going on with James Holmes, you didn't get them today. He looked a little bewildered, a little glum. He certainly didn't look like any kind of the super villain that maybe his hair he was trying to portray himself as.
And Kira, I heard you and Paul talking about his behavior in the courtroom. You could see he sort of was out of it. And Jim, you and I have been getting reports about the way he was acting in jail, that he was under solitary confinement. Some of the inmates wanted to get him, that he was spitting at police officers, and that they were watching him. He was under suicide watch and sitting. So when you saw him in the courtroom, his behavior, did he appear to be out of it to you?
He seemed a little out of it. He made a little eye contact with us as he surveyed the scene as he walked in. The rest of the time, he mostly looked straight ahead. He did not look at any. There were a few victims' families in there. They stared at him the entire time. They did not take their eyes off of him. He did not look back at them that I could see.
You didn't see his mother or any of his family members in the courtroom?
Not that I could tell.
And Kira, the woman sitting next to him, and Jim can talk about this as well, that's Tamara Brady. She is a public defender, and Daniel King is a person who is also defending him. James O'Connor is their boss, but they're the two people who will be taking the lead on this. And we should also tell you that the district attorney here, Carol Chambers, is going to be holding a press conference live here in just a couple of minutes. Of course, CNN will carry it for you. But it's going to be interesting to her prosecution of this case because she's on term limits. She's almost up. She is a staunch defender of the death penalty, which is odd here in Colorado because it's not a big death penalty state.